The first thing I have ready is your colonoscopy prep to check on the polyps in your rectum. Make sure you drink this on an empty stomach. Charge your phone, say a prayer, and open up a window. The next thing I have is this dietary fiber supplement to help ease your irritable bowel syndrome. It looks like your doctor also requested we offer you some laxatives just in case the prep doesn't do its job. He said you were pretty backed up. Now make sure you read the directions so you don't end up with another rectal prolapse like last week. That was no fun. He said you're his best customer. You must love greasy foods. And the last thing I have is an oral and topical antibiotic for your infected hangnail on your big toe. I thought I smelt cheese. You should definitely get that drained. And it looks like your insurance expired when you got fired from your job. So will you be paying with cash or card? I'm finally ready to talk about why I went to court last week. I have officially petitioned to declare my mother, who's been missing for almost 7 years now, as deceased. This was not an easy decision to make. My family has been requesting that we do it for several years now, but I just couldn't bring myself to file the paperwork until now. It's going to be a 6-person jury open to the public, and because I wanted my personal information like my address and phone number to be hidden, she said that we can prevent media from attending. However, after I left the courts, I realized I do want media coverage. As long as my address and phone number are hidden, which it will be, then I'm okay with the media outlets attending so that they can continue to share my mother's story. In fact, I think it would be good because we're going to be questioning the local police department about what evidence they have, asking why it took them so long to search for this missing Native woman. So hopefully we can get some answers on what exactly JPD did during this investigation, because the judge said that I will have to prove to the court why I believe my mother is missing and should be declared as deceased. And the trolls who spread misinformation on my post saying that my mother's not Native or actually even a missing person, you have the right to come to this court hearing and prove your case. In fact, I encourage it, because if you, some random person who doesn't know my mother or I personally, have information on her whereabouts, then please come present that. But I guarantee you won't, because you just want to spread misinformation and want to silence MMIW families, especially the ones who have different views than you, like when I spoke about my opinion on non-Indigenous people wearing the handprint. No matter what happens, we are hopefully going to get answers and eventually justice for my mother, Tracy Day.
So this is love. So this is love. So this is what makes life divine. I'm all aglow, and now I know.
Kevin knew there was a bullet in the chamber when he clicked it because he put it there. Even after saying, "Don't worry, these aren't loaded," but for some reason, after it went off, Chase says, Kevin kept screaming, "But I counted, I counted." My husband said he didn't know what that meant at the time, but later found out it's because Kevin had been playing roulette. Supposedly, he thought he could put one in the chamber, count, click it a few times, and somehow it wasn't gonna go off. Like I said before, not everybody realized what he was doing. However, the ones who saw were scared to speak up, and they had every right to be uncomfortable because he was clearly dangerous. I mean, because of his actions, somebody literally lost their life. Whether he counted or not, he shouldn't have been touching one of those things, period. Like, because of Kevin, Aiden doesn't get to grow up, start a family, graduate high school, go to college. And my husband was millimeters away from being paralyzed for life. He was in excruciating pain for a long time. He unfortunately suffered with major nerve damage, which felt like he was walking around with a knife in his foot. Now, Chase really only talks about this topic with myself and our family. 1, because he obviously doesn't like the way it makes him feel when he thinks about it. And 2, he cannot stand when people feel sorry for him, so it's not something we discuss often. However, we're making these videos because it's very important that people hear firsthand the pain that playing around with these devices can cause. 2 years in juvie for unaliving a person and permanently harming another. Does that seem fair to you? Because we sure don't think so. I understand that the rules might be different based off your age when you commit a crime, but why is it that the moment he was released, he had access to said devices again? Do you know how I know this? Because he posts photos with them online. I assumed even if you're a minor, when you commit such a heinous, violent crime, you're going to be banned from even going near them for life. I'm sure if he wasn't allowed to have access to these, he wouldn't be posting about it online, but obviously, I can't say for certain if he can or can't. The audacity makes me angry, though, knowing that Chase and his family or Aiden's could see that, because it definitely makes us feel very uncomfortable, especially since we unfortunately have to see him in public sometimes. I just wish that the justice system did better, because what do you mean that he's allowed to do that? Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. I just want to say rest in peace to Aiden. We are sending so much love to all who cared about him and my husband Chase. We hope that these videos make people really think about device safety, and my heart goes out to anyone who's ever been affected by one. The day my husband Chase got shot in high school, Kevin, the guy who did it, was literally playing with the device while bragging to Chase's friends about how he apparently brought it to the place where you get an education. He tells them, "Don't worry, I know how to use this," turns, points it at himself, and proceeds to play roulette. To be clear, no one else was participating. In fact, not everybody was paying attention or aware of what he was up to. My husband Chase had his back turned away from Aiden, who was standing directly behind him. Chase was drinking a juice box, not paying attention to what they were doing. Kevin, who's standing directly in front of Aiden, points the device at him. Kevin spins the device and clicks the button. The goes through Aiden and into my husband's back. Chase said he didn't know what was going on. He just looked down, and when he saw red, he immediately accepted that he likely wasn't going home that day. Thankfully, he eventually did get to, but unfortunately, Aiden didn't survive, and to this day is still lodged in my husband's spine.
For 2 months, she'll barely move, conserving all her energy.
They medevaced my husband out of state because our hospital could not handle a gunshot wound, so he didn't get to give his statement to the media or the police about what happened immediately after. And of course, when something horrible like this happens in a small town, it's breaking news. They want to get their story out ASAP, which unfortunately meant that a lot of the information in the original article was inaccurate. The news outlets used Kevin's version before Chase ever got to tell the truth, so these one-sided articles made it seem like all of the boys were playing roulette, which was not true. Just Kevin was. And him giving that false statement led to my husband facing years of criticism from people in our community who believed that Chase had some kind of fault in what happened with himself being shot and his friend passing away, because the perpetrator tried to share blame with the victims instead of taking responsibility. A lot of people in our town just ran with Kevin's version, which put so much stress on my in-laws because they couldn't even talk about it. They just had to listen to people put down Chase and say horrible things as if he was responsible for somebody else harming him. Imagine defending the actions of an unaliver. Yesterday, a boy from our hometown commented on one of our posts saying that basically we don't have the right to speak about a tragedy that happened to my husband and his friend whose life was taken. He said that my husband, the one who was shot, is trying to get attention because Chase wanted to raise awareness about not using devices. Chase had to basically learn how to walk again. He missed school and he dealt with a lot of mental health issues because of the trauma of what happened, but also some of the medication he had to take due to being in excruciating pain caused him to actually hear things. Luckily, that immediately stopped when he switched meds, and he is okay now, but he still went through it. He's allowed to tell his story however he chooses, whether it's through me or him coming on here to make his own videos, but right now, this is the route he chose to take. People like this guy who believed Kevin's lies have said things to Chase like, "You should be grateful you survived, forgive him and let it go." Like, I'm sorry, what? Meanwhile, there were a lot of people who were not even involved that made it about themselves instead of just supporting the victims. It really upsets Chase that still to this day he has to deal with this BS because of all the misinformation. How much you want to bet this Grommet dude is friends with Kevin and that's why he's standing up for him in my comment section on IG?
My name is Kaylin Schneider. My Tlingit name is Anshawetki, which means Lady of the Land. I am Tlingit from the Deshutan Raven Beaver clan. My family comes from the Deshuhit end of the Roadhouse. I'm here today because I am an MMIW daughter. My mother, Tracy Day, has been missing for almost 7 years now. And of course, the police have done little to nothing about it. To be honest, I struggled writing this because it's been so long since I've done my introduction in Tlingit, which is why I spoke it in English today. I was not able to keep up with certain changes in the culture or language as we were busy looking for my mother. When I was in school, I was in the Tlingit immersion program, and it really helped me to learn some of the ways of our people. Now my son has been accepted in that program, and I'm so eternally grateful because without this opportunity, I don't know how he would learn some of the language or the culture, specifically the parts that have grown and evolved over time that we missed out on, that we would have been able to pass down to him. Unlike my son, I had the privilege of knowing my mother, and I was able to be taught from her a few things that we didn't learn in these school programs, but she didn't get to finish teaching us everything because her time was cut short. So it's left our family uncertain on sacred practices or how to phrase terms in our language. I say all of this because I need people to understand that when Indigenous people go missing, it's so much deeper than anyone realizes. Not only are these our family members who we love and miss every single day, but these are the people who pass on sacred knowledge to the next generation of our family. Although we are grateful for these programs, we should not have to rely on them because our family members shouldn't be going missing. It's easy for non-Native people to say that what happened to us was long ago when the authorities refused to update MMIP statistics, when they take down the posters that we desperately hang in search for our loved ones, and they fail to accurately report when our family members go missing. Despite all of this, I'm so proud to see our people fighting to preserve the language and culture, as well as showing up to support and bring justice to MMIP families.
I am such a blonde, you guys. I really should dye my hair back because I have a meeting with a journalist from the local newspaper about what happened with my mom's case. And I got all ready, toned my hair because I decided that I like the dark blonde. Fun fact, my hair is dark blonde. It's not actually brunette. I learned that when trying to figure out which color to dye it. And I did my makeup, I put on a cute dress, drive all the way downtown, park, text her, and then I'm like, wait a minute, it's Saturday. We're supposed to meet on Sunday.